This is me heading home on a Friday afternoon after another week at work. But unusually for me, I'm not doing it on my normal bike. I'm doing it this week on an e-bike, which I've been lucky enough to have for a test over the last week or so. I have to hand it back next week, unfortunately, because I've thoroughly enjoyed using it. But I wanted to do a little video, talk a little bit about how I've got on trying out the e-bike for the first time. Talk a little bit about why I think other people might be interested in giving them a go as a different alternative way to get to work. So just a little bit about my background. I use this route. I stay in Monteith and work with DC Thompson, middle of Dundee, and I cycle to work every day on a normal bike. Only drive when I absolutely have to, but very rarely, probably only a handful of times a year. Every other time, use my normal bike. And I sometimes wonder why more people don't do it. You see here I'm enjoying a really nice, relaxed cycle home. Don't have to worry about any of the Friday night traffic over to my left there. This is just an easy, relaxing cycle home. Obviously that's not going to be for everyone. Not everyone feels up to cycling a normal bike, and so I thought it'd be interesting to take an e-bike out, try it out and see how it might work out for people who, for whatever reason, might be interested in getting back on the bike as a way of commuting, getting to and from work, but don't fancy doing it on an ordinary bike. So how does an e-bike work? Well, as you probably know, it has, down there you might be able to see it, just below me there, just behind the seat post, there's a big battery in there which is helping me do a lot of the work to head along the road. So the battery powers the pedals, but what's important to stress is that this isn't a motorbike and it's not a moped. That electric motor only kicks in and helps when I'm pedalling. So if I stop pedalling, as you may be able to see on the digital display, as soon as I stop pedalling I start to lose speed because the motor cuts out. So this is not, you can't sit and relax and not pedal at all on an e-bike. You do have to do some work, but what it does is it assists you. So the effort I'm putting in is then boosted by the battery and the electric motor, which means it's a whole lot easier getting home than it would be on a normal bike, which obviously has some potentially big benefits for people who can't, for whatever reason, use an ordinary bike, whether it's perhaps slightly overweight and want to think about an e-bike as a way of getting back into exercise, or perhaps a little bit older in life and find a standard bike just a little bit too much of a push these days. There's no doubt about it, these e-bikes offer a lot to lots of different kinds of people who might want to switch onto the bike or maybe just cycle a bit more than they do currently. So how does it work? On my left hand side, that's where the difference is. I have a power button here to switch the electric motor on and off, and then I have a plus and minus function which allows me to choose different settings, different levels of e-assist. So if I go down, you may be able to see on the display here, that's me now switch the battery off, so I'm now using the bike as a standard non-powered bike, non-electrically powered bike. So you can use it as a normal bike. It's quite heavy obviously, there's a big battery on here, so it's probably not something you would choose to do too often, but it is worth pointing out that if the worst happened and you ran out of charge, you could get yourself home. You're not going to break any speed records, but you can get yourself home. It does operate even with the battery off. But obviously in most cases people are going to have the battery on at some level. So what I have with the push button here is the choice of how much assist I want. This bike has 1, 2, 3, 4 different settings, from the lowest eco mode up to a sport mode, up to a power mode, and then the top level on ultra mode. And those 4 different settings just dictate how much assistance the battery is going to give me to push me along. Obviously the lower modes with less assist, you have then greater range, and the range is shown on the top right of the screen here. So on the top ultra mode it's telling me I have just over 30 miles left on the battery, but if I go back down to the lowest eco mode, that goes up to over 100 miles. It's incredibly intuitive. I got used to riding this within seconds of getting on it. It's just like a normal bike in many ways. It's just easier to cycle.